Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. I am Abosedi Omowi. Our top stories tonight. Many thanks for joining us tonight. Let's now bring you details of the news. After 4 days of what it describes as a successful strike, the National Executive Committee of the Ayuba Waba-led faction of the Nigeria Labour Congress has suspended its industrial action called to protest the hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit and electricity tariffs. The president, Ayuba Waba, announced the suspension after its National Executive Council meeting. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more.
Rising from its National Executive Council meeting, which also included its civil society allies in Abuja, the Ayuba Waba-led Nigerian Labour Congress announced the decision to suspend its 3-day-old nationwide industrial action to protest the hike in pump price of premium motor spirit and electricity tariffs. The president in the communique at the end of the meeting disclosed that the union decided to suspend the strike and re-engage government in negotiations due to the intervention of well-meaning Nigerians.
In consideration of the above, NEC, after due consultation with its constituents, resolved to suspend with immediate effect the action it commenced on Wednesday, May 18, 2016. The action is thus hereby suspended.
He added that the union is confident that it has taken the correct course of action in addressing the hike in fuel price and electricity tariff, and is not surprised at the reverberations, especially within its rank. It commended those who took part in the struggle, while also urging Nigerians not to compare the 2012 action and the present one, because the actors and the circumstances have changed.
The action, it reiterates, was taken in the best interest of the poor and the working class, and in drawing government's attention to the dangers of relying on importation of petroleum products.
It however added that it will continue to resist wrong legislation, policies and programs of government, and continue to act in the best interest of the people of Nigeria. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
In other news, 2 Reverend sisters kidnapped along the Benin-Ijebu-Ode Expressway at Kajola village in Odigbo local government area of Ondo State have been rescued by the police. The duo, Akpo Perpetual and Rosalind Familade, was the driver, Zugwa Zibai, were abducted on May the 15th when they were traveling to Ogun State for a Christian religious program. They spent 1 week in the den of kidnappers before they were rescued by a team of police in Ondo State and men of the intelligence squad sent from Abuja by the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, for the rescue. The State Police Commissioner, Hilda Ibifuru Harrison, confirmed the rescue and says the victims are hale and hearty. She says the police is still on the trail of the kidnappers and will ensure the law takes its course. We now have joined us via the telephone the Commissioner of Police in Ondo State in person of Hilda Ibifuru Harrison. Good evening to you, madam. I would like you to please tell us how the operation about the rescue of these two nuns came about?
Well, you are aware already that the Reverend sisters were kidnapped on the 12th of May 2016 at about 11:30 p.m. in the night while they were going to Ogun State for a religious program. We've been on the trail of the kidnappers, and to the glory of God, the sisters are out now. Police operations, intelligence operations takes place by various means and various modus operandi. Such operations are security issues, and what is important is the success of the operation and the lives of the victims of such crime. However, I would always assure members of the public that we are on the trail of the hoodlums, and they will certainly be brought to book in respect of the offences they've committed. But as usual, I advise law-abiding citizens and community members to ensure they do not conspire with persons who get involved in criminal activities. Instead, they should report the conduct of all persons who operate in various suspicious circumstances, because the kidnappers and the criminals live amongst us. They are our relatives, they are brothers and sisters, and we should not condone criminal activities wherever we are. It is not a pleasant thing to be kidnapped.
Okay, now, madam, we understand that these kidnappers had demanded a ransom of 20 million naira. So, was the ransom eventually paid before these kidnapped persons were rescued?
Naturally, kidnappers and even other miscreants demand ransom. Police and the Nigerian police force is never part of discussing ransom or payment of ransom of any form.
Okay, now what has been in the news is that the two nuns have been rescued. What about the driver, Zugwa Zibai?
The driver too is with them, also out from the den of the kidnapper.
Okay, now when the nuns and the driver was rescued, is it just something from the Nigeria Police Force, or was there collaboration with all the security agencies in the country?
In absolute sense, all security agencies in the country, and particularly in Ondo State, collaborate in circumstances of investigation and detection of crime. And so it is always a joint effort. And in particular in Ondo State, there's always synergy and collaboration amongst all the security agencies. Security, like you know, is everyone's business. Even a lot of civilians have taken part in police operations by way of giving information and intelligence and support. So in absolute terms, all the security agencies contribute to the success of all operations.
Now, what measures has your command, that's the State Police Command, and the Ondo State government put in place to ensure that we curb this menace of kidnapping and all the forms of violence in the state?
Ondo State government has been very supportive to all the security agencies, because, like you know, the governor of Ondo State is the chief security officer of the state, and all within his means and power, he has given tremendous support to security agencies to ensure that citizens of Ondo State sleep with their eyes closed. And the support is not in
Okay, now on a final note, madam, have Akpo Perpetual, Rosalind Familade, and the driver Zugwazibai been released to their families, or are they still in the custody of the police?
They've never been in the custody of the police, as you naturally expect if you've been in captivity, even for 2 days, let alone from 12th of April till date. You should expect they should receive some medical attention and some psychological balance of their emotions. So they are not in the custody of the police. They are with their own people.
Okay. Very many thanks to you, madam. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you. And thank you to listeners.
Okay. Well, the Commissioner of Police of Ondo State there, Hilda Ibifuro Harrison, speaking on the release of the two Reverend Sisters, Akpo Perpetual and Rosalind Familade, with their driver, Zugwa Zibai, who were abducted on May the 12th and were traveling to the state for a Christian religious program. Well, moving on now with the news, Okiako community located in Ikole Ekiti local government area and about 2 hours drive from Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, has become desolate as aftermath of suspected herdsmen attack on the community Friday night. Following the attack, some residents of the community fear the possibility of a follow-up attack by the suspected herdsmen who invaded the community, where the suspected herdsmen maimed and killed. One man was shot dead during the attack. Another one died at the hospital, while several others that were wounded are in private hospitals in Ikole and Ado-Ekiti. The attack, which was described as well coordinated, caught the residents of Okiako Ekiti in Ikole local government area off guard as the suspected herdsman stormed the village by 8 in the evening, 2 hours before the vigilance team that guards the community normally resumes duty. Eyewitnesses claim there was no response from the police or security agencies while the attack lasted, as the community and other 4 neighboring villages lack even a police post. Now, the Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayoshi says there could be reprisal attacks on herdsmen in the state if they did not desist from invading communities and attacking the people. The governor made this known in a statement issued by his special assistant on public communications and new media, Larry Olayenka, following Friday night attack by criminals suspected to be Fulani herdsmen on Okiako in Ikole Ekiti local government area of Ekiti State. He says the herdsmen were becoming a major threat to the unity of Nigeria, describing the assailant as agents of the devil that must be fished out and punished accordingly. The governor says he will not fold his arms while armed herdsmen invade communities in Ekiti, disclosing that he has directed the police and other security agencies in the state to fish out the killer herdsmen. And in Enugu State, the police has begun aerial surveillance of the entire state following the latest attack by herdsmen. The spokesman of the police in the state, Ebere Amaraizu, discloses that the helicopters are on an aerial monitoring exercise of the 3 senatorial zones. He explains that the exercise will offer the platform to fish out would-be mischief makers and for officers to have proper sight of all the nooks and crannies of the state for effective crime prevention and control. Amaraizu further discloses that the command has mobilized security operatives working in partnership with relevant stakeholders and public pilots with a view to flushing out criminals from their hideouts in the state. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead, the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Peter Azi, charges workers in the state to remain loyal to their employers. Details of these and other reports after this break. Do join us again.
With over 7 billion of world population and still counting, the world needs to hear you now than ever. Whatever your ministry or vision is, Gospel Africa will help get you there faster than you think possible. For inquiries and participation, contact 009 503 3859 or 0812-076-0011 or visit www.gospelafricang.com. Gospel Africa, your #1 media solutions for the church today.
Gospel Africa, showing on this station at this time.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. Let's take another look at our top stars. All our top stories, all the news and information can be found on our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter @CoreTV News NG. And on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space news. President Muhammadu Buhari has cancelled his 2-day state visit to Lagos, which was scheduled to hold between Monday, May the 23rd and Tuesday, May the 24th, 2016. Confirming the cancellation, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, says the president is faced with scheduling difficulties and that he needs more time for Lagos and for Edo, which had earlier been stepped down. Consequently, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, will be representing the president on the working visit to commission a few projects, leaving the rest for the president. Shehu adds that the president will undertake these visits after the holy month of Ramadan. The Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Peter Azi, has charged workers in the state to remain loyal to their employers. He made the call at the Assembly complex, where he played host to labor leaders of the complex. As he says, the call became necessary due to the incessant industrial actions employers have faced over the years from their employees. The details.
According to the Speaker, employees should always work in consonance with the employers for the progress of the organizations. He decries a situation where employees become antagonistic to the employers due to their affiliation to labor unions.
You are the Democrats, you are the bureaucrats, you are the NGO. If you collaborate and assist, together we shall achieve why we are here.
Aziz states that he is a labor-friendly individual and is willing to work together with the unions in order to avoid future differences that could lead to negligence of duty or contract termination.
When I emerged as the Speaker, I told you, I said I'm in office and I'm prepared to learn.
Plateau State joined the ongoing strike embarked upon by the organized labor, which has grounded economic activities in the states.
The pain and sorrows of textiles workers in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, who have been out of job for about 14 years following the closure of the textiles industries and without being paid their entitlements and gratuities, are eliciting new concerns. Against these backdrops, a group which Christians itself, the Closed and Unpaid Textiles Workers Association of Nigeria, has challenged the federal government to look into the issue as a matter of urgency, saying that most of the unpaid workers are facing untold hardship, with over 2,700 of them already dead. The chairman of the association, Wadudom Simdik, says the closure of the textiles industry is synonymous with the closure of the workers' lives. A Kaduna State correspondent, Theophilus Abila, filed in this report taken from our studios.
Derelict, abandoned, under lock and key. These are words that best describe the sorry state of the Nigerian textile industry. a sector that directly employed more than 300,000 workers in its boom days. Not so anymore, as thousands have died without even being compensated.
In fact, Kaduna Textile Limited KTL closed on the 16th December 2002. And since the closure of Kaduna Textile Limited KTL, workers' entitlement was not paid. CC 10 kobo was not given to anybody. Most of us that works in this closed textile and our entitlement was not paid. If they reopen, a lot of teeming Nigerians moving around the street without work, they will get something doing.
A widow of a deceased unpaid textile worker says since most of Nigeria's textile mills shut down, the attendant consequences have continued to multiply while lives are frequently lost.
And they close the textile, they never pay our husband. Food when we go eat, we don't get food. Money for rent, we don't get money for rent. Our children are so that they walk up and down. No money for school. The clothes when they go wear is dangerous. True, I want me to settle my husband. If my son or my pikin go get work, it's all the same.
The plight of a surviving textile worker who has waited now for decades to be paid his entitlement is in no way better than the widow of his colleague. His narrative is pathetic.
The children we have, the feeding and the accommodation, almost everything of life, social things of life, has become terrible. To an extent that we have been driven away from our houses. And most of our children have become hawking and prostitute on the street, going about without anybody.
Some of the workers say they are healthy men and served for many years in the textiles industries, but became hypertensive as soon as the company shut down, while some died and also their children because of their inability to provide quality health care for them.
The textiles were closed. We were able to be meeting some needs, both family needs, health, and the rest of them. But when these tests are closed now, it has not been so easy. Even those people who were feeling that if they did not see us, they would not leave, everybody has just cut away from us. Meeting social needs is not possible. Meeting our educational needs is not possible. Our children are just at the mercy of maybe God helping them.
In fact, right now, as I'm telling you myself, the door of my house was removed, and I was not. And now the woman want to remove the zinc of my house. So in fact, we're in terrible condition. And not only me, we're thousands of us that are facing this situation. So we don't know what actually the government is doing at hand.
Disturbed by the plight of the workers, governors of the 19 northern states say they will expedite action and do all within its constitutional powers to revive the industries in the northern parts of the country. Chairman of the forum, who is also the Borno State Governor, speaks on the matter.
We are determined to support the KTL to come back to life. There was a direct correlation between the closure of the textile mills in Kaduna and the ethno-religious uprising that engulfed the north.
The closed textiles in Kaduna State include United Nigerian Textiles Limited, UNTL, Kaduna Textiles Limited, KTL, Arewa Textiles, Northeast Textiles Limited, and Fine Textiles Limited, amongst others. But the question is, will there be hope for the revival of these textiles industries by this present administration where others have failed? Only time will tell.
Well, I hope the federal government intervenes in this matter. Moving on now, the Department of Petroleum Resources in Niger State has warned petroleum marketers to desist from all kinds of sharp practices like diversion, hoarding, selling above official price, and under dispensing of the products or face the wrath of the law. The state controller of the DPR, Abdullahi Isa Jankara, who gave this warning after the team's surveillance visit to some local governments of Bida, Agai, and Lapai, expresses dismay over the lack of adherence to the new price policy of the federal government at 145 naira per litre. Jankara reiterates the commitment of the department in ensuring absolute compliance with the regulations, adding that stringent measures await those who fail to effect the new price of petroleum products at 145 naira. The Ogun State Police Command has within a month arrested more than 40 suspects alleged to specialize in snatching cars, trucks and motorcycles within the state. This, according to the State Commissioner of Police, Abdul Majid Ali, is to ensure safety and relief along the major highways and roads in the state. The police commissioner had given a marching order to officers and men of the command on checkmating and reducing crimes and criminality, particularly car, motorcycle, truck snatching or hijacking along highways, roads and in communities in Ogun State. Ali says the command will continue to tackle the menace of car automobile snatching since the anti-crime strategies adopted have paid off. And now, as Nigerians come to terms with the recent upsurge in the frequency of attacks by the Boko Haram terror group on internally displaced persons camps, especially for those in Borno State, correspondent Kozim Kasali visited one of such camps in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to see what the situation is like for the residents. He filled in this report.
Nostalgic feelings, some may say, but for these Nigerians, living even in an IDP's camp is worth celebrating as long as they are alive. For them, unlike their fellow Nigerians who live in the comfort of their homes, these people have no access to the basic necessities of life. A walk through the camp by this reporter reveals the abject lack of basic amenities like water and even conveniences such as toilets. The only bowl serving the Kuchigoro displaced persons camp was provided by the Australian government, and this woman who came to draw water from the tank left disappointed. For Usman Adamu, vice chairman of the camp's resident association, is a story of neglect and lack of basic amenities of life. He says the government must play its role to ensure that the people live at least decently.
For now, since we the request for government to do something to support people for camp, but we not see, but we hope government can do next time. You know, so there is time.
A look at the playground where the dance by the group took place will show that it's just a part of the makeshift primary school which serves the camp. This University Don, who is a regular visitor to the camp, says the federal government must drive development in the camp, especially the provision of basic amenities and the secondary school to cater for those who have left primary school and are just idle roaming the camp.
I wish that government should also show that concern. I know government has a lot to contend with prosecuting the war against Boko Haram. Well, that is the main issue, you know. But at the same time, the living should be taken care of.
For Sarah Peter, going home now is not an option. Despite the doom and gloom that surround their everyday existence in the camps, the need to make ends meet for residents is still paramount, as seen with some who have gone out to the city to look for jobs as mason. For the old, the young and the infirm, life goes on in this camp even when the security is still a major issue, as seen with this encounter between some resident and this reporter over access to a church service in the camp. But after it all, the matter was resolved.
And this guy too says an officer. See, hey, he have the reason that he said that he's an officer.
The question on the lips of many is why are these camps being left unattended to? Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Making life count even away from home. In other reports, in search for a lasting peace that has eluded several communities in Plateau State, a royal father from Wase in Plateau State, Ponji Kumwang Jasemiri, says he wants to partner political office holders in the governance of his domain. The traditional ruler says the inclusion of the politicians in the cabinet will engender peace and harmony across the land. Thus much transpired at the turbaning ceremony of some eminent personalities in the area. Our Plateau State correspondent has more.
The traditional ruler of the Tarok community in Wase local government area says peace will be possible if political office holders know that they are stakeholders in the search for peace.
Irrespective of our climate, whatever, do you Kumwang, do you Tumat, do you Fulani, Jarawa, and whoever, anybody that touches the life of somebody on the land will be reckoned with.
Members of the community also appreciate the innovation of the traditional ruler, urging parents to encourage their children to go to school instead of sending them to graze cattle at a young age.
He praised the wisdom of His Royal Highness, the Koishe Kumba, for the choice of these gentlemen to assist him in a day-to-day running of the affairs in Kumbangla.
Those determined to assist the governance of the Kumwang domain are the member representing Wase Federal Constituency at the National Assembly, Ahmed Maje. Member representing Wase State Constituency, Yahaya Dam, was Matoli Kumwang, Natu Mundeng as Gakuwa, Comrade Gunchun Yarang as Uban Garin, and David Fabung as Dan Masali Kumwang. The royal gesture brought celebration to Wase Local Government Council. Many expressed optimism that the royal gesture would engender the much-needed peace in the area and urge all the royal fathers to emulate it.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. Still ahead, and news from outside Nigeria. Turkish Transport Minister Binali Yildirim becomes new Prime Minister. Details of this and other reports from beyond the shores after this break. Do join us again.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Glad to have you back. In report from beyond the shores, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has urged the media not to speculate about the cause of an Egypt airplane crash which killed all 66 people on board, saying that all scenarios are still being considered. Speaking in Cairo on Sunday, Sisi thanked all the nations for helping in the search for the passenger plane which crashed into the Mediterranean early on Thursday, shortly after leaving Greek airspace. The president has promised to release full details on the cause of the crash once an investigation is complete, pointing out that though the probe could take a long time, no one could hide the facts. And Yemeni troops have killed 13 fighters in a raid outside the southern city of Mukalla, which was ruled by Al-Qaeda until last month. In a statement on Sunday, Yemeni army discloses that special forces and the army gained complete control over the site, backed up by helicopters from the Arab coalition, which dealt with groups of terrorists spread around the area. It says a search confirmed that these fighters were about to carry out a surprise terrorist attack on some military command centers Sunday morning. Before being forced out, Al-Qaeda fighters took advantage of more than a year of war between Iran-allied Houthi forces and supporters of President Abdurabu Mansour Hadi to carve out a mini-state stretching across much of the country's southern coast, including Mukalla. And now, Turkish Transport Minister Binali Yildirim has been unanimously elected the new leader of the ruling AK party and therefore the Prime Minister. Yildirim, 60 years old, who is one of the co-founders of the AK party, along with Erdogan, won all the votes from the 1,405 delegates at an extraordinary party congress. He was the sole candidate at the Congress, which was announced after Ahmet Davutoglu disclosed he was stepping down following an increasingly public rift with Erdogan. Davutoglu had served as foreign minister, but after Erdogan became president and he prime minister, conflicts began to emerge, and in recent months, the two men disagreed on several issues, including negotiations with the European Union. Residents of Fallujah have been asked to be ready to leave ahead of what may be an attempt to take the city back from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL group. In a broadcast today, Iraq Army's media unit urged families who cannot leave to raise white flags to mark their locations. Fallujah was the first Iraqi city to fall to ISIL, also known as ISIS, in January of 2014, 6 months before the group swept through large parts of Iraq and the neighboring Syria. Let's now bring you some sports reports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
In sports, three-time Olympic champion Kenenisa Bekele won the men's race at the Great Manchester Run, finishing the 10 kilometers course in a time of 28 minutes and 8 seconds. Kenya's Wilson Kipsang came second. The result was mirrored in the women's race as Bekele's fellow Ethiopian Terenesh Dibaba beat Kenyan Edna Kiplagat, finishing in 31:16. Richard Goodman and Gemma Steele were the highest-placed Britons in 6th and 8th respectively. The men's and women's elite races developed in near-identical fashion, with a group of 3 athletes quickly establishing a lead over the field. Bekele and Dibaba both displayed their superiority in the final kilometers, easing clear of their Kenyan rivals to finish comfortably ahead. The wheelchair races were dominated by British athletes, with Simon Lawson finishing nearly 3 minutes ahead of second-placed Brett Grossley, while Shelley Wood won a closer fought women's contest, 14 seconds in front of Jed Jones. And in golf, Rory McIlroy has secured his first win of the season by producing a dramatic finale in the Irish Open, his home tournament at the K Club. McIlroy trailed Scotland's Russell Knox by 1 shot with 3 holes to play, but outstanding second shots at the 16th and 18th helped him to the birdie on eagle, which saw him win by 3. He shot a 69 to end on 12 under to clinch his first success in 6 months. Knox shared second place with Welshman Bradley Dredge, who fired a 66. Finally in sports, Jorge Lorenzo beat fellow Spaniard Marc Marquez to win the Italian GP in a thrilling race that went right down to the finishing line. Valentino Rossi, the home favorite, who started from pole position, had to retire from the race with a mechanical problem. Despite Lorenzo starting the race from 5th on the grid, he quickly closed in on his Movistar Yamaha teammate, and the two were involved in a battle until Rossi dropped out on the 8th lap. Repsol Honda rider Marquez then closed in on Lorenzo and tried to pass his Spanish rival. He was successful at the start of the final lap. In a nail-biting finish, Lorenzo, the reigning MotoGP world champion, retook the lead, and then Marquez led into the final corner. However, a small mistake allowed Lorenzo to win the race by 0.019 seconds, which is the smallest victory margin of the season so far. Lorenzo now has a 10-point lead over Marquez, with Rossi left in a distant 3rd in the championship standings. So congratulations to the winners. That is it on sport and on CoreTV Primetime News. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stars. Many thanks to you for being a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. On behalf of everyone here, do have a pleasant night rest. I am Aposedi Mowi.